Welcome back to Single Player Party. As you can tell, I look the same. So I am going to try to get into Dragonholt Village. So spoiler warning, we are on episode 3 for me. Book 2 of Legacy of Dragonholt. So there's tons of spoilers. I think I have everything I need here. We got out the village book, the village tracking sheet. We've got our story tracker, 2 characters, couple items with us. This book is a beefy boy. It has got a binding to it. The other ones are all like just stapled back. This one is a thick boy. So this is a lot. So I might be stopping at any given point. Um, and then we'll pick up from there, or I might just pause this and then it'll be mostly seamless. So it looks like we spend a week here. There's day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll see what kind of trouble we get into over the course of a week. So I double checked with the rules. Nobody on my team should have been disabled. That's if you run out of stamina. So there was very little cheating involved with that. As far as the taking the turns thing, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. The exhaustion might matter more going forward now with the healing potions, right? Because now it's like, oh, can I pass one off to somebody else because um, oh, we might be exhausted from it. Let me pull that up real quick. Of course, I put the rule book away, and then it's like, oh yeah, well no, guess what? Now you need it. So think about that. Um, what are those things called? Activation tokens, yeah. So when you make a decision, exhaust your activation token, turning it face down. You cannot make another decision until your activation token is refreshed. When all players have exhausted their activation tokens, all players refresh their activation token. So the actual thing about that is that my characters actually could do 2 in a row, because if they're doing, I was playing it even harder. I was going back and forth. There'll be plenty of times where either can act. Basically every other time either of them can act. Okay, I will do this because I think this actually benefits me. It's better than one than the other, because every other time they're both gonna one of them's gonna refresh. So like, let's say, okay, he goes, then they go. Now they both refresh. Now either could go. So they could go back to back many times. I like this better. Okay, we're back to not cheating. I wasn't cheating. I was making it harder for myself. Stop judging me. Just enjoy the ride. Thanks for watching, by the way. Okay, so we were instructed to read 1001, so here we are. Each quest book, including the village book, has its own tracking sheet that can be found on the back cover of the book. While reading from this book, time and progress are tracked on the corresponding tracking sheet for the book. Let me just make sure that looks like the right one. There we go. Perfect. Encounters. The entries in this book are grouped in a number of encounters. Each encounter is a short collection of related entries. Once you begin an encounter, continue reading as normal until the encounter is complete. While reading this book, you do not exhaust your activation token when you make a decision, and requirements on options can be fulfilled by any of you. Well, that's cool. I have a feeling we're going to dip into this, then we might be dipping into another book, and then, so maybe we'll hit another book sooner, and then it might have like a natural breaking point. So you wake to the smell of freshly baked bread and the chipper voices of Miriam and Sapphire. Golden shafts of sunlight stream through the window beside your bed, and you idle for a moment before getting up, watching the dust float in the air in the morning light. With a yawn and a stretch, you rise from your bed and prepare yourself for the day. As you step out of your room, you see that Braxton has also just stepped into the corridor. She gives you a polite smile and nod. Morning. You are just about to respond when Miriam comes around the corner from the direction of the common room. Good, you're awake. Breakfast is ready. It's a real feast, exclaims Miriam eagerly. Come on, I'll get you I'll get you cold. It'll get cold if you just dawdle in the hall. With that, Miriam takes Braxton's hand and drags her. Well, Braxton allows herself to be dragged toward the common room. 10:42. So, for the sake of this, I'm gonna go back. I had put away like that 2 new roads sheet, but it was pretty good for keeping track of the numbers. Because here's the thing, it's like, how am I gonna know where I left off? I wonder if there's supposed to be 2 sheets. Like, I'm not keeping track of time on this one, like up here, but so I am going to go and write this down. So 10:42. That way, if I end up on some long train, I can just look on here and I don't have to start at this one and then backtrack and try to. But honestly, it should be like. I guess I could write it on the back of this. Let's do that. I like the little lines on that one though. So we're at 1001. So now we will go 10:42. Let's do it that way. Oh, how convenient, it's right there. You descend the stairs to the sunken common room. Sapphire is setting a table with plates. Miriam ushers Braxton to the table and they both sit. You take a seat and examine the feast that Sapphire has prepared. Large yellow eggs, thick slices of brown toast, juicy ham steaks, and seasoned pan-fried potatoes. Boil 'em, mash 'em. Boil 'em, mash 'em. As you are scooping food onto your plate, Sapphire returns with 2 large pitchers, one filled with creamy milk and the other with freshly squeezed juice. After checking on the other patrons, Sapphire returns and sits at the table with you. So what brings you to Dragonholt? Have you come in search of love? Or, Sapphire gasps and glances around before leaning in close, are you here for revenge? Braxton coughs and strikes her chest with her fist, having choked on a bit of potato, and Miriam begins laughing. The love of theatrics runs in the family, I see, mutters Braxton after a drink of milk. Sapphire blushes lightly and looks back at you. Forgive me, perhaps I gossip with the neighbors a bit too much. Visiting an old friend, just looking for the next adventure, hoping to gain gainful employment. If I'm lucky, not the only one searching for love. I seek revenge on the man who killed my father. Deception or performance. If I'm lucky, I'm not the only one looking for love. That requires empathy. Empathy. Is Bash okay, let's say Bash is here looking for love. But he's kind of more like on his next thing. So there's an achievement. There's an achievement list in here, and I put that away too. I'm not bringing it back out. There's an achievement list where, so like if you fall in love, you can check off that achievement. And this goes back to what I was saying at the end of the last one. If you wouldn't stick around for that, I just went on a long diatribe on how I want to get through things and want to play maybe on easy mode. It's not about easy mode. It's about being able to complete quests and not get stuck on hard parts or get too distracted by side quests and actually see what stuff's involved in. Here I don't think like side quests so much as there's still main storyline, but I do want to play my characters faithfully. This is going to be the one thing that's going to be the truest to mine. And if he's stoic and tough, he's not out there. He's not here looking for love. He's looking for a home. So him and Lenatra, got their letter from their traveling friend. And so they're here visiting a friend. So even though that unlocks something, I'm gonna go with that. So 40 26. Because the letter is important. The letter we got. So we're gonna go for that. Oh, it's cracking. The binding is cracking. hear all the resale value going out the door. But that's a joke after she saw what I did to the first book after like having it for months in my backpack. It is trashed. Okay. Oh, who's your friend? Asked Sapphire. I know most everyone in the village. You mentioned that Sleece has sent for you to come to Dragonholt. Oh, you mentioned this. Sleece says, yeah. Ah, yes, exclaimed Sapphire. Sleece did tell me she used to do some adventuring before she became a tutor to Lady Regina's kids. She comes to the Swan for lunch from time to time, though I can't say I've seen her lately. Last would have been, 2 or 3 days ago. I saw her going into the Chatty Archer, a lovely little tavern run by a nice human couple. Sapphire suddenly tilts her head as if she's thought of something. She looked quite frazzled, actually. She had her cloak drawn all about her. I almost didn't recognize her. I don't think I've seen her like that before. Come to think of it, it's the first time I've seen her go near either of the taverns in the village. If she's not at the manor, you might try the library. She spends much of her time there. The bells for the front door jingle, signaling someone entering the inn. Sapphire stands. Excuse me, she says, and hurries off to welcome the new patron. Read entry 2994. After breakfast, you return to your room to grab what you'll need before venturing into the village for the day. When you return to the common room, you see that Braxton is also about to set out. Many of the patrons have dispersed since breakfast, but a few remain in the common room, reading and mingling with one another. Miriam is nowhere to be seen. If you have any questions about Dragonholt, don't hesitate to ask me, says Sapphire. Where has Miriam gone off to? Asked Braxton. Oh, that child couldn't wait any longer and ran off to see the old apothecary's shop. Sapphire shakes her head. Even if she buys it, it'll be some time before it's up and running. Nasty fire it was. Lorimore fire is nothing to take lightly. If you discovered the hidden message in the letter from Sleece, go to this one. Otherwise, we did. We cheated. I think I cheated. I can't remember. I can't really remember what it said either. It was just warning that all these letters were off and how there was danger in the village. So let's go to 15. Maybe this will remind me. So 15, 18. You suddenly recall the hidden message that you discovered in Sleece's letter. Unsure of the urgency Sleece intended, you figure it best to make your way to meet her before too much longer. You ask Sapphire for directions to Regina's manor. Sapphire's face shifts to match your own more serious mood. Of course, the manor is just north of here. If you walk around to the north side of the block and look north, you can't miss it. Big fancy building on the hill. Sapphire tilts her head slightly. Is everything all right, dear? You can tell that she is truly concerned, but you also get the sense that she's hoping for some juicy gossip. You assure her that everything is fine. Mark story point Y5. And then we're going to read from 5302. Oh, rules. Cool. Thank you for your hospitality, Sapphire, says Braxton as she opens the door to leave. Of course, hon, replies Sapphire. Good luck with the guards. Braxton smiles and nods before leaving. You are about to leave yourself when Sapphire stops you. Oh, I almost forgot. If you're going around Dragonholt without a map, you might get lost. It's a small village, but some of the hallways are a real labyrinth. She produces a folded piece of parchment and lays it out on the counter. Let's see, she mutters and scans the map. Ah, here we are. She marks the spot on the map, the Swan. She spends a moment marking numerous locations for convenience. Here you are. Don't lose it now, she says as she folds up the map and hands it to you. If you have any other questions about Dragonholt, come back and ask me. You gain the map of Dragonholt. This encounter is complete. So, bum 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 bum. Map of Dragonholt. We gained it. Okay, we can't get it all on camera, but most of it. Oh, the Swan. Okay, there's the Swan. Fairfax Manor. The library she might go to. Oh, the shrine with the glass dome they talked about on the way in. The apothecary shop. That sounds like that's where Miriam's gonna buy that. And then, oh, the dragon statues that we came in on. Okay, so we came in through there. We got Willow Grove down here. And then the Eastern Road. The Northern Road. An orchard. Drunken Hog. Okay, cool. So we have this handy. Let's read what it says about what to do with it. After completing an encounter, use the map of Dragonholt to choose a new location to visit. Each location has a 4-digit number that corresponds to an entry in the book. When you choose that location, read the corresponding entry in this book. If playing with 2 or more players, you will each take turns choosing locations to visit. When you choose a location to visit, exhaust your activation token. You become the active player and remain the active player until the encounter is complete. You should make decisions within the entire group, but as the active player, you have the final say on those decisions. Gathering information. During your time in Dragonholt, you may wish to gather information about the village or county or the events that happen within. Returning to the Swan to speak with Sapphire or visiting the village hall are great ways to gather such information. In addition, you might try visiting the local taverns in search of rumors. Days. The encounters in this book take place over multiple days as tracked on the tracking sheet on the back cover of this book. At the end of each day, an effect on the tracking sheet will instruct you to read a specific entry that bridges the gap between the day that just ended and the next day in the story. The events that occur at each location might change from day to day, and the specific events might occur on specific days. However, some locations will have the same or similar events on multiple days. You cannot gain the benefits of any single entry more than once each day. Wow, this is fascinating. So this book is literally keeping track of like where some people are moving and how things might change. So if we go spend a whole day here and like let's say something happens at the Drunken Hog during that day, we may have missed it because it won't happen. I mean, it happens on Monday or day 1 or whatever it had in that book. That is really cool. Now I'm feeling overwhelmed by like the side quest and like wanting to know it all, and it's like, okay, well, what happens? What am I missing? And that kind of scares me. Sorry, I gotta fix my chair. That really kind of like irks me of like the, oh my gosh, well, what is it? FOMO. Like my FOMO, it's got my FOMO kicking in. Oh, good. There. It's like a mini earthquake. Okay, so we're gonna go to Fairfax Manor. So that's 1400. So this is the end of the counter. End of encounter. So we'll go to 1400. And hopefully it'll tell me if it's like, oh, you're now on day 1. Maybe we should go look for it at the library. I don't know. 1400, Fairfax Manor. The house's sprawling structure of gray stone, its facade covered with dark green ivy. The east wing of the manor is older than the rest, its tall, narrow windows doubling as arrow slits, and its roof marked by crenellations. I'm guessing that's like ramparts, kind of thing. Crenellations. I don't know that. An arching stair leads to the main door on the ground floor. If 4 or less time have passed today, 4 or less time have passed today. So it's the morning. Okay, so it's the morning. Read the entry below that corresponds to the current day. Otherwise, the manor house is not accepting visitors at this time. Okay, so we can go down below. So 14101, Fairfax Manor, day 1. 1401, sorry. You step into the grand hall of the manor, which is lit only by the sun shining through the high windows. A human serving girl sits at a long table polishing silver. If story point V6 is marked, but I6 is not. Oh, what a nice combination. You can do like both. That's cool. So we don't have a V6 or an I6. If neither story point... So if V6 is marked but I6 is not, read that. If neither story point S8 nor V6 is marked, read that. Wow. So do we have S8? We do not have S8. Wow. Otherwise, the manor house is not accepting visitors at this time. The encounter is complete. Wow. We just got shut out. Alright. Cool. I kind of like it. Back to the map. So, I say our only other lead was the library for her, or what did she say she was going to? The Chatty Archer. So I say we go to the library looking for her first, because the Chatty Archer was not today, was it? I don't think so. So let's go to 2480. This is cool. I like this. It's so much faster than running around and getting lost in a video game. $24.80 the library. The library is large for a village of the size of Dragonholt. It features an antechamber, a main room of rows of bookshelves, and a few side rooms. On most days, one of the side rooms is used as a classroom for the village youths. If 4 or more time has passed in the day, go to that. Otherwise, the library is not open now. The encounter is complete. If 4 or less. Okay, I'm at 4 or less. So, we're going to go to 2505. So this was Fairfax. And this is library. I could look at the map, and just might as well just put a note on it. So 2505, right below. The librarian's main hall features a tall writing desk underneath a window set in the ceiling and 4 walls covered in shelves of books, full of books. Perched atop a stool at the writing desk is a gray-robed, gray-haired human woman spattered with ink, her quill stretching as she carefully copies out another letter. If it is day 1 and story point V6 is not marked, read this. If it's day 6, read that. If it's day 7, otherwise 2798. Wow, so we need to find out this story point V6. This is a big one. V6 is a big story point. So now we have to go to 2798. Also kind of clues here of like if it's day 6 or day 7, it might be important to come back. But hopefully I'll have forgotten that, because I don't really want to know tips like that. I want the book to lead me not there, but through story. 2798. The librarian glances at you, then returns her attention to the page. A gray tabby cat drops down from a nearby shelf, pauses a moment to stretch, then brushes against your leg. Spend some time doing research or studying. What are we going to research or study? Ask if there is any work that can be done. Donate your collected books to the library, or leave the library. I want to find our friend. Let's leave the library. Let's go to... see who's at the tavern at 9 a.m. Talk to the crazy drunks. The chatty archer. We'll go by there on our way back to the Swan. 6,500. I see why you don't write down that much for this, but like for me this is gonna help me to know where I go so I don't like go right back there. $6,500. Chatty archer. An archer butt lies under a maple tree outside this rustic lodge-style tavern. Several arrows are stuck within it, and others stand point down in the earth as the tavern's polished pinewood door. A strung bow hangs over the door, nestled under the awning to protect it from the elements. If 4 more time has passed today, yeah. Otherwise, the chatty archer will not be open till the evening. The encounter is complete. How do I pass time here? Hold on. Entries in this book are grouped by a number of encounters. Each encounter is a short collection of related entries. Once you begin an encounter, continue reading it until normal. When reading this book, you do not exhaust your activation token when you make a decision. The requirements, if fulfilled by any of you. I was wondering if, like, after an encounter, do you have to do a time has passed? Because now we just went and did all of that for free. Okay, where did we get the 5302 gave us the map. Maybe in those rules it'll help us. The encounters of the book take place over multiple days. Oh, hold on. Okay, gathering information. Right, okay. The encounters of this book take place over multiple days as tracked on the tracking sheet in the back cover of this. At the end of each day, an effect on the tracking sheet will instruct you to read a specific entry that bridges the gap between the days that just ended and the next. The events that occur at each location might change to the day. Okay. However, some locations will have the same or similar events on multiple days. You cannot gain benefits from a single entry more than another. So what I was hoping... oh man, I really cracked this here. Like, it's not telling me to, like, time passes. Oh, I see time passes on a different one. Okay, so none of them have told me time passes, so I am free to roam about the cabin. So the chatty archer is closed because 4 more time hasn't passed. Let's go back to the Swan. Let me just check one other thing. Make sure I don't have to take a break right now. The Swan is 7,400. Yes, we know that. 7,400. I feel like this is going to give me a lot of decisions. And I just need 1 second to see how much time I have right now. Got time. Okay, let's continue. The Swan is a neat, elegant building standing on a foundation of gray stone. The inn rises 2 stories above you, its walls shingled with blue-stained wood and its glassed-in windows surrounded by whitewashed shutters. The obvious care that goes into this building's upkeep somehow conspires to make it seem smallish and homey despite one of the largest buildings in the village. Read the entry below that corresponds to the current day. Okay, the Swan, day 1. The common room is particularly quiet. A pair of patrons are playing a game that features a circular board and several pieces of wood carved to resemble knights, dragons, and other fanciful creatures. A human woman sits in a comfortable-looking chair by the hearth, wrapped almost entirely in a blanket and reading a book. If 6 or more time have passed today, read this. Otherwise, 6971. I have a feeling that's not going to be enough notepaper for this. $69.71. The swan is as pleasant and as homey as ever. Sapphire smiles when she sees you and waves to you from where she sits under the window sewing. Ask Sapphire for something to eat. Ask about someone or something in Dragonholt. Ask Sapphire to craft you magical armor. Return to your room for a while. Leave the swan. Requires war rune. We need a war rune so we can have her craft a magical item. Let's ask her about someone or something in Dragonholt. So 2282. Well, I've lived here a few years now, says Sapphire, while tying off a thread. I think I know Dragonholt and its residents pretty well. What do you know? What do you want to know? I have a question about someone in Dragonholt. Anywhere in Dragonholt you'd recommend? What is there to do in Dragonholt? Let's ask about someone. So 1514. Let's see what she knows about Regina. Oh my gosh, it ripped. The book ripped. This is brand new. I just started using it. This is... Wow. I've been just trying to like bend it a little bit to read it. That's gnarly. Wow. That's... Right, if you're gonna pick up this book, careful to like loosely hold it or it's gonna break on you. That's such a bummer. Quite a few characters in this village, laughed Sapphire. Who do you want to know about? Tell me about Lady Regina, Sophie, Sonia, Celise, Miriam, the Belmont family, the Cunninghams. Tell me more about you, Sapphire. So I don't know who any of those people are, so I can't. So we're gonna go Regina Fairfax. 1779. You point at Mal's... Nope, sorry. Oh, Lady Regina, says Sapphire. She's a bit of a scandalous figure, you know. Even so, she's our scandalous figure. She wasn't meant to be a countess, you see. Her father's natural daughter, so not in line to inherit. But she was raised here in the hills of the forest. They say her mother was a wild woman, a witch of the woods. She's never been one to follow tradition, if she saw a better way. Sapphire pauses, turning her thimble idly on her thumb. It happened before I came to the village, of course, but apparently Regina did, well, something to save the entire country. I heard she cast a great spell, or that she became the bride of the forest to appease the spirits, or that she did battle with the dragon. Anyway, whatever it was so impressive that her father legitimized her and made her his heir. He died a few years later, and she's ruled as Countess of Dragonholt ever since. And she's been a good one too. 6740. Sapphire holds her sewing project up to the light to examine her progress. Was there anything else you wanted to know about Hun? I have a question about someone in Dragonholt. Anywhere in Dragonholt you'd recommend? What is there to do in Dragonholt? That's enough for now. It's not enough for now. Let's go back to somebody again. So 1540. Nope, 1514. Let's ask her about Celise. 1002. Oh yes, Celise comes to the Swan from time to time for lunch. Wait, didn't I already read this? Alright, well, I think we read this already. A very proper woman she was, always quite organized. In fact, I've seen her frazzled just a couple days before you arrived. Actually, they're going in the check. Arthur, cloak drawn around her, almost didn't recognize her. She tilts her head to one side as if trying to remember something. Oh, it's been odd about. Till then, I never see her go either of the taverns of the village. Can't blame her. A human brew can't stand up to those elven wines. Oh, it's kind of a repeat. Sapphire shakes off the tangent. I haven't seen her in a while, but if you're looking for her, I would check the library or the shrine. That's where I've seen her spend most of her time when she's not at the manor. So now, back to 6740. I say we go to the shrine now. Okay. Then there's anywhere we'd... Actually, let's see what she'd recommend. But, like, I want to check out the shrine. Shrine. So I'm putting that on my notes, on my note page. I took a note. Okay, so let's go to 1582. Oh, gosh, that sound is just killing me now. Maybe I can super glue that back. Well, the best place to visit is the Swan, of course, Sapphire laughs. But other than that, well, what do you want to know? How's the market? Are there any towns? Where do the villagers spend most of their time? How did you come to own the Swan? Let's do where the villagers spend their time. 94, 94. And then maybe we'll write down 57, 55. So we don't have to like go back through the cycle. So 94, 94. Sapphire gestures to the west. The heart of the village is the green. Villagers graze their livestock there from time to time, and any time there's a festival or gathering, the green is where we meet up. Of course, the shrine and the village hall are both adjacent to the green. The village goes to the shrine to pray to the spirits or to meditate, and all sorts of business goes on at the hall, and the library is near there as well. Some of the village children get tutored there. Sapphire smiles, perhaps at some memory. Then there's the Willow Grove, south of the green, a popular spot for couples or children that play. Lovely trees. Cool shade in the summer. Nice. Okay, so now we go back to 6740, and I say, what else is there to do? And she says, what are you thinking? And I say, tell me how you came to own this place. And that is 5755. 5755. Sapphire lifts the sewing project in her lap by way of answer. I used to be a tailor, made a good tidy sum that way. Then I came to Dragonholt and decided to stay. A human woman used to own this place. Hetty, her name was. Well, her children were grown and her daughter married in Karam's Cross, so she wanted to get out of the innkeeping business and go spoil her grandchildren. So I bought the swan from her. Got a good deal. Some money up front, sending the rest to her in monthly installments for her first few years. Had enough left over to help pay for a little remodeling, make this place feel a little more like home. Sapphire shrugs. The village was reluctant at first. They liked Hetty and didn't know who I was. But every gnome who passed through, they stayed with me, and bit by bit the village warmed up. Why, by now you'd never know I wasn't born here, she winks. Don't worry. Don't know what they'll do when I eventually move on. Oh, wow. Okay, so now back to 6740. So that was just a little bit of interestingness. 6740 is her main plot, 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 plot. Okay, so that's enough for now. So time passes. So finally we have a time passed in the morning. And then the encounter is complete. So now I want to go to the shrine. So I'm just going to look up what the shrine is. And write down that number. The shrine, 2790. The shrine is a building of white marble with a domed glass ceiling. A garden of flowers, fruits, and vegetables is laid out behind the shrine and surrounded by a low garden wall. In front of the shrine stands a marble column, a beacon of fire on its tip. If it is day 5 and one more time has passed today and story point K8 is marked, wow. If it is day 7 or N1 or 2, if plot point C2 is marked, otherwise 4010. The shrine is a bust. Day 5, day 7, story point C2, so 4010. The sanctuary is cool and peaceful. It ripples with light and shadow as natural light filters through the glass dome and falls upon the rocky pool in the center of the room. The space is filled with the silence of a babbling spring as water bubbles up from the rock and flows out to the garden outside. The spirits are strong here, says a voice from behind you. An elderly orc man emerges from the shadows, his arms clasped behind his back. He walks to the pool and stands staring into its ever-shifting light. If you listen, you can hear them speaking. He cocks his head, then grins a tusky grin in your direction. Or perhaps that's just the water. I'm Scala. I look after the shrine. You are welcome here. Mark start story point C2. Right, C2, which is what it asked for in the last one. Spend some time in quiet meditation. Let's do that. Otherwise time passes, but I'd rather, let's meditate. Let's spend some time meditating. Time's gonna pass anyways. 3196. You settle yourself on a rock by the pool's edge and open yourself to the experience. As you meditate, Scala silently places a candle before you, lights it, and shuffles away. You watch the candle burn down, listening to the murmuring of the spirits at the water. Mark 1 progress in spiritual meditation. Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. Boom. Nice. If story point I7 is marked, but F3 is not, read something something. I don't have anything in I. It's like playing bingo. That's kind of fun. It's a bingo-ish kind of thing going, bingo vibe going on there. Um, Otherwise, time passes and the encounter is complete. That was cool. I like that. That was the shrine. Alright, I think I'm going to take a break there. We are 45 minutes into this. Perfect. So we'll pick it up next time. Oh my gosh, the binding on this breaking is bumming me out so much. Oh, so the whole thing just came right out. I think I'm just going to use it like this, gently, and then when I'm done, I'm going to... Yeah, there's barely any glue here. Then when I'm done, I'm going to go back and re-glue this back together. Oh, that is so sad. I like this cover. Alright, well, warning if you're looking to buy this thing. It looks like this big book version of it was made pretty cheaply. Well, thanks for being along for the ride, and we will continue to discover the village of Dragonholt in the next episode. And I will see you then. Bye for now.